Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to my channel Sanu's vlog. So again I am back. So കുറച്ച് ദിവസം ഞാൻ വീഡിയോസൊക്കെ അപ്ലോഡ് ചെയ്തിട്ടല്ലേ, അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ വീണ്ടും നമ്മുടെ ന്യൂ ചാപ്റ്ററിലെ ഒരു ചെറിയ സമ്മറി ആയിട്ട് വന്നിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ചെറിയൊരു വീഡിയോ ആയിരിക്കും, ചെറിയൊരു സമ്മറിയാണ് പറയാനുള്ളത്. ഒരു ജനറൽ വ്യൂ എന്ന് വേണേൽ പറയാം. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പം ആ ഒരു ജനറൽ വ്യൂ നിങ്ങൾ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാനാണ് ഞാൻ വന്നിട്ടുള്ളത്. ഓക്കെ, സോ എൻ്റെ ചാനൽ ഇതിൽ സബ്സ്ക്രൈബ് ചെയ്യാത്ത ഈ കാണുന്നതിൻ്റെ ഒന്ന് സബ്സ്ക്രൈബ് ചെയ്യുക കേട്ടോ. പിന്നെ ആ ബെല്ലൈക്കൺ ഒന്ന് എനേബിൾ ചെയ്ത് കൊടുത്തിട്ട് അതിൽ നിങ്ങൾ ഓൾ പ്രസ് ചെയ്ത് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എൻ്റെ എല്ലാ വീഡിയോസും നോട്ടിഫിക്കേഷൻ വഴി നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ലഭിക്കും. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ ഇപ്പം മുൻപുള്ള വീഡിയോസ് കണ്ടിട്ട് വരിക, എന്നാലും നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അടുത്ത ചാപ്റ്ററിൻ്റെ ഇപ്പോൾ ഗ്രാമർ ആണെങ്കിലും മുൻപുള്ളത് പഠിച്ചാലും നിങ്ങൾക്ക് നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഉള്ളത് എന്താണെന്ന് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ കഴിയുള്ളൂ അല്ലേ. ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു സെൻറ്റൻസ് പറയുവാണെങ്കിൽ അതിൻ്റെ സബ്ജക്റ്റൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ ഫസ്റ്റ് പറഞ്ഞു പോയതായിരിക്കും. അപ്പം ഞാൻ ആ സെൻറ്റൻസിൽ പറയുന്നത് നമ്മുടെ സബ്ജക്റ്റിൽ നമ്മൾ വെർബ് അങ്ങനെ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഇത് അതിലൂടെ മാറ്റി എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് സബ്ജക്റ്റ് എന്താണെന്ന് അറിഞ്ഞാലും നമുക്ക് അത് കണ്ടിന്യൂ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റത്തുള്ളൂ അല്ലേ. അപ്പോൾ അതുപോലെ ഞാൻ ചാപ്റ്റേഴ്സ് ഇടുവാണെങ്കിൽ ചാപ്റ്റേഴ്സൊക്കെ നിങ്ങൾ ഫസ്റ്റ് മുതലേ കണ്ടുവരിക. പിന്നെ ഗ്രാമേഴ്സാണ് നിങ്ങൾ കാണാത്ത വീഡിയോസ് കണ്ടെങ്കിൽ പോയി ഫസ്റ്റത്തെ വീഡിയോസ് കണ്ടുവരാം. പുതുതായ കൂട്ടുകാരൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാവുമല്ലോ അല്ലേ. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങളൊക്കെ എൻ്റെ ചാനലും സബ്സ്ക്രൈബ് ചെയ്യുക, പിന്നെ ലൈക്ക് ചെയ്യുക, ഷെയർ ചെയ്യുക, കമൻറ്റ് ചെയ്യുക. നിങ്ങളുടെ സജഷൻസ് എന്താ നിങ്ങൾ കമൻറ്റ് വഴി തന്നെ അറിയിക്കുക. ഓക്കെ, സോ നമുക്ക് വീഡിയോയിലേക്ക് പോകാം അല്ലേ. സോ ലെറ്റ്സ് ഗോ ടു വീഡിയോ. So today we have our new chapter, the sacred titles of Kadavu. So first once I'll read, then I will say the summary of this chapter. Summary also just I will read only. Okay, then you will be understanding. If summary if I read also you will be understand now, because it is not written by in my way, so we will understand. Okay, so let's read. On the island of Kadavu, pronounced Kadavu, one of the large island of the Fiji group and some 50 miles by water from the capital city of Suva, is the Fijian village of Namuana. Namuana nestles at the foot of a beautiful bay adjacent to the government station is Vanisi Harbour. Here the island of Kadavu narrows down to an isthmus, and by climbing the hill behind Namuana village, one can stand on the sandhill and look out to the sea to the south and to the north. Legend says that in the days gone by, the warriors of Kadavu slid their canoes on rollers up over the narrow neck of land to save the long journey around the east and the west of Kadavu Island. The women of Namuana village still preserve a very strange ritual, that of calling turtles from the sea. If you visit Namuana village to see this turtle calling, your schooner anchors in a beautiful bay right under the cliffs of a rocky headland. You land on the beach and then either sit on the rocks under the bluffs on the beach or climb a rocky track to a point some 150 or 200 feet up the rock face. Here, you have a splendid view and will find assembled all the migrants of the village of Namuana singing a strange chant. As the chant, if you look very carefully down into the water of the bay, you will see giant turtles rise one by one to lie on the surface listening to the music. This is not a fairy tale. It actually does take place, and water in its area is forbidden for the fishing of turtles. Another interesting sideline to this performance is that if any member of the nearby village of Nebukalavu is present, then the turtles will not rise to the surface of the bay, and the turtle calling will have to be absorbed. As is usually the case with such strange ceremonies and customs in Fiji, the turtle calling is based on an ancient legend still passed on from father on to son among the Fijian people of Kadavu. Many years ago, in the beautiful village of Namuana on the island of Kadavu, lived a very lovely princess called Tanekabaga, who was the wife of the chief of Namuana village. Tanekabaga had a charming daughter called Raudalis, and the two women often went fishing on the reefs around their home. When Tanekabaga and Raudalis went further afield than usual, they waded out on the submerged reefs which stretch out from the rocky headland to the east of the bay on which Namuana village is situated. They became so engrossed with their fishing that they did not notice the stealthy approach of a great war canoe filled with fishermen from the nearby village of a fishing town to the highest mountain of Kadavu Island. Today, Mount Washington is well known to the mariners because there is a splendid lighthouse there, warning them out of the strangers of the rocky coastline. Suddenly, the fishermen leapt from their canoe and seized the two women, bound their hands and feet with wine, tossed them into the bottom of the canoe, and set off in great haste for home. Although the women pleaded for their release, the cruel warriors from Nebukalavu did not listen to their entreaties. The gods of the sea, however, were kind and soon a great storm arose. The canoe was tossed about by huge waves which almost swamped it. As the canoe foundered in the sea, the fishermen were astounded to notice that the two women lying in the water in the hold the canoe and suddenly changed into turtles, and to save their own lives the men seized them and threw them into the sea. As they slipped over the side of the canoe, the weather changed and there were no more waves. The Nebuchadnezzar fishermen continued their journey back to their home village, and the two women from Nemuana who had been changed to turtles live on the water of the bay. It is their descendants today who rise from the water when the maidens of their own village sing songs to them from the cliffs. The translations of this strange song, which is chanted to the such occasions, is as follows: The women of Nemuana are all dressed in mourning. Each carries a sacred club, each tutor tattooed in a strange pattern. Do rise to the surface proudly, so we may look at you. Do rise to the surface, Tinokobaga, we may also look at you. You may doubt the truth of the legend, but you cannot doubt the fact that changing of this strange song does in fact lure the giant turtles of the surface of the blue waters of the bay near Namuana village on the island of Kadavu from a Fijian legend. That's all. So this is a summary of that. Once I will read. It is a kind of travel experience. Here the travel takes the readers to the island of Fiji. They come to understand about a strange ritual on a Fijian island. The ritual is connected to a story from village in Kadavu that the women chant to call turtles. Long ago in the lovely village of Namuana, an island of Fiji, lived a beautiful princess Tine Kobaga. She was the wife of the chief. The chief and his wife had daughter Raudalis. Raudalis often joined her mother for fishing. One day, stay close to the shore for fishing. They were so engrossed for fishing that they didn't notice the stealthy approach of the fisherman from the village of Nebkalavu. The fisherman came close and jumped out of the canoe. Tinekobaga and her daughter Audelis cried aloud to make them free. But they were so cruel, but they laughed at them. But the goods were not pleased with the fisherman's great and cruelty. Suddenly they sent a huge storm and tossed the canoe. At this time, they did not notice what was happening to the two women. Later, they saw close two women had been turned into giant sea turtles. Then the sea became calm. The fisherman ran from the with fright. The Fijians still believe that Tinicobaka and Raudalis live in the tree of the even today. The women from Namoana village are dressed in the morning clothes to chant the songs their beloved turtles. They think that the giant turtles would rise the surface of the bright blue waters. So this is a summary of this chapter. Okay. So I think that you all understood this class, and just I read only the chapter and just I read the summary of this chapter. The summary means a short brief summary. I did not say the Malayalam, but if I think you can understand, because once I read the chapter fully and then I again repeat the small brief summary. Okay, so that's all. So I think that you all liked my video, you all understood my class. So if you have any doubt means you can comment down in my comment box. Okay, so that's all for today. See you next video. Till that, bye bye. Take care, dears.